Well, there was good Trump news from the Oval Office today, if this one thing that Donald Trump said is actually true. When Donald Trump complained about judges blocking his attempts to stop spending and rewrite the Constitution, a reporter asked if he would abide by the judge's rulings, to which Donald Trump, to many people's surprise, said, well, I always abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. That's the right answer. He gave the right answer, and he didn't stop there. He went on to say, the answer is, I always abide by the courts, always abide by them, and will appeal, but appeals take a long time. And that's the right answer. We can only hope that it is true. But if it is true, some of the talk you've been hearing about constitutional crisis has been premature, which is why I have not yet entertained the discussion of constitutional crisis on this program. If Donald Trump does actually defy a court ruling, then we will cover it then. But as of now, he's actually saying that he will always abide by court rulings. He could have given a more Trumpian answer like, well, we'll see, but he didn't. And that's it for the good news today. A king visited the Oval Office today, a real king, by which I mean a king who actually governs his country, unlike English kings who can't even govern their families. King Abdullah of Jordan had to sit in the Oval Office and listen to the absurdity of Donald Trump saying that he would take Gaza. King Abdullah knows that Donald Trump will not take Gaza. King Abdullah knows that everything Donald Trump said today about Gaza will not happen. Donald Trump will not take Gaza, he will not take Canada, he will not take Greenland, and he will not take Panama. That is the nonsense that Donald Trump throws out there to try to distract the news media from what he really is doing, which includes literally taking food away from starving babies, from starving children, starving grandparents. And the person who is helping him do that stood over Donald Trump in the White House today, thereby delivering a picture of presidential subservience, the likes of which we have never seen, the most powerless image of a president of the United States ever created by a camera. There it is. In that shot, Elon Musk is doing everything he possibly can to tell the world, without saying a word, that Donald Trump is not the boss of me. Donald Trump is the boss of the other adults in that shot, Stephen Miller and Will Scharf, and that's why they are following Donald Trump's lead on the dress code for the Oval Office, which is the same dress code that has existed for every previous president. Elon Musk owns suits and ties. We've seen him wearing them. But today he decided to do the billionaire thing. I met my first billionaire 25 years ago in Hollywood. It was at a fairly small reception in a private home during the Democratic National Convention in Los Angeles. I was wearing a suit and tie, as was every visitor from Washington in the room. The editor of Time magazine was one notch more casual, wearing a blue blazer and gray slacks and a necktie. The show business billionaire was wearing a t-shirt. Everyone knew that he was the richest person in the room, and he knew they knew. And that meant he could wear whatever he wanted. He could dress like he just walked out of a TV writer's room. And so I saw then that the billionaire power move was being underdressed, violating the dress code, and knowing that you can do it because clothes don't make the man, money makes the man. And today Elon Musk decided that he wanted to outdo all of his fellow tech billionaires who frequently show up in t-shirts, and so he violated another norm of business meetings at the White House and business meetings in a lot of places by bringing one of his 11 children. It was like bringing a dog to the home of a person who hates dogs. And we all know how much Donald Trump hates dogs. His favorite line in publicly announcing firings of people that he hired in the first Trump White House was, "I fired him like a dog." I don't know what that means. Dogs don't get fired. It can only mean that he hates dogs. Donald Trump had no trouble remembering the name of Elon Musk's child because it's the shortest name he's ever heard.
That's a good reason. Come here often?
X, are you okay? This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ. He's a high IQ individual.
All right, let's go full screen with these shots because I want to see everything that's in these frames at the White House, okay? The child was there as a power play by Elon Musk, demonstrating he can do whatever he wants in that room. When Donald Trump is your boss, you don't bring your kid into a business meeting with Donald Trump. And when Donald Trump is your boss, you don't talk more than Donald Trump in a business meeting with Donald Trump. Elon Musk spoke 3,666 words. Donald Trump spoke 2,487 words. Mike Pence never had a day like that in the Oval Office with Donald Trump. J.D. Vance will never have a day like that in the Oval Office with Donald Trump because Donald Trump is the boss of J.D. Vance. One thing Donald Trump always craved before he ran for president was the attention of the truly rich, virtually all of whom ignored Donald Trump as phony rich and vulgar rich. And now Donald Trump has the attention of the richest person in the world, the person who can literally bail him out of any financial difficulty, like the $85 million that he owes E. Jean Carroll pending his appeal of her successful lawsuit against him, and the $500 million that he owes the state of New York pending his appeal of the lawsuit New York Attorney General Letitia James won against Donald Trump. And we have no idea how much money may have already passed between Donald Trump and between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. We have no idea how dependent Donald Trump is on Elon Musk. There will probably never be a way of knowing. Elon Musk and Donald Trump proved nothing of what they said in the Oval Office today. Given their demonstrated comfort with public lying, everything they said about government waste in the Oval Office today, which had no specific details and no evidence, should be regarded as untrue unless and until proved true. As soon as they can show us the billions of dollars, what Donald Trump called today a lot of billions, and Elon Musk called a trillion. As soon as they can show us any of that waste, fraud, and abuse and prove it, I will congratulate them for finding that waste, fraud, and abuse. But so far, they have found absolutely nothing because they have produced no evidence of what they claimed they found today. They did not mention a single name of a single recipient of a single wasted dollar by the American government. They both tried to tell scary sounding stories, corrupt sounding stories, with Elon Musk referring to an unnamed woman who he claims gained a net worth of $30 million just while working for the federal government. And Elon Musk could not imagine how that could happen on a government salary. Now, let's just presume for a moment that there is such a woman whose net worth actually increased to $30 million while working for the federal government. Elon Musk said, "We're just curious as to where it came from. Where does it come from?" And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. Everything about Elon Musk and Donald Trump's lying today resides in that statement. Elon Musk first asked the question of how could a woman possibly increase her net worth by $30 million while working on a government salary? Ask Melania Trump. Ask any one of Donald Trump's wives how you increase your net worth without earning the money. But Detective Musk, on the basis of absolutely nothing, firmly believes that that mythical government worker, who I promise you does not exist and will never be found to exist, is, quote, getting wealthy at the taxpayer's expense. That's the detective solving the crime. And that is the way Detective Musk solves the crime. He just guesses. Watch what happened when Elon Musk began speaking. I'm going to put this on the screen, full screen, not because it matters what Elon Musk was saying, but because it reveals the essence of Donald Trump and it reveals the power of Elon Musk. When the president speaks in the Oval Office, no one else does, except today. Elon Musk interrupted Donald Trump when Donald Trump was speaking, and Elon Musk's 4-year-old child spoke while Donald Trump was speaking. And nothing could demonstrate the power of Elon Musk more than his child speaking while Donald Trump was speaking. There's something important in what happened when Elon Musk's 4-year-old child actually moved toward Donald Trump. Watch this. Donald Trump did what no president before him would have done with that child. Here it is.
Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, you say, what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we would have to, if you sorry. So gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
The child actually moves toward Donald Trump, saying something to him. And Donald Trump turns away. And you watch the child back off, knowing what just happened. What would Joe Biden have done? What would Barack Obama have done? What would George W. Bush have done? What would Bill Clinton have done? What would any president you've seen in that chair have done? Donald Trump turns away from the 4-year-old. And then when the 4-year-old continues to speak, Donald Trump reaches out to try to silence him, and he fails. No previous president ever once considered blocking food from being delivered to starving 4-year-olds in a famine, as Donald Trump and Elon Musk have done by stopping the United States Agency for International Development, the most important deliverer of famine relief in Sudan right now, where people are starving to death tonight. Many presidents have struggled to deliver food to hungry people in war zones, but they never gave up that struggle, no matter how difficult. How can a person feel nothing when taking food away from starving children, from starving people? That's what I've been wondering about Elon Musk and Donald Trump since they decided to do that, since they decided to snatch that food away from children. And so when I watched Donald Trump in the Oval Office today, I wondered, how can a person feel nothing when a 4-year-old approaches him? Who turns away from a 4-year-old approaching him? Your friend's 4-year-old comes walking towards you, saying something to you, and you turn away? Have you ever done that? Have you ever seen anyone do that? The 4-year-old speaking to you, maybe it's in church, maybe it's somewhere where you don't want the kid to be speaking, maybe it's a funeral, no matter where it is. And yes, even in the Oval Office, you do not turn away. No one does. You can't turn away. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have both decided to turn away from the starving children of Sudan and the starving adults in Sudan. And they were not asked a single question about that today in the Oval Office by the very well-behaved White House press corps, who did no yelling, as they always did in the Biden Oval Office. Elon Musk claimed that we are actually being governed by what he called, quote, an unelected fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, and that, of course, is a lie. The people he is talking about are members of the executive branch, not their own branch, the executive branch of government, and they have been hired the same way they have been hired in the executive branch of government since long before Elon Musk was alive. Elon Musk insisted, without proving it, that the United States Treasury pays recipients who are on the do not pay list. It was the job of David Lebrick, who Donald Trump forced out of the Treasury, to make sure that no one on the do not pay list was paid, and he was enforcing that. And there isn't the slightest shred of evidence that Elon Musk has found a single improper payment by the United States Treasury to any person or entity anywhere in the world. If Elon Musk had evidence today, he would have put it on the Oval Office desk. That was the place to reveal it. Put it right there, show it to the world. If Elon Musk had no previous record of pathological public lying, we still wouldn't trust the kinds of claims he was making today without proof, without names, without dates, without facts of any kind. Elon Musk did reveal today that he has been examining Social Security payments. That means he has access to information about every single American citizen, including babies born this week. In his examination, of those precious and private Social Security records, Elon Musk claimed today, we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, I don't know what that sentence means, but maybe he was trying to say that he found some Social Security recipients, because he says people, so more than one, who are 150 years old. That would have been so easy to prove today. It would be so easy to put that Social Security record right there on the desk, the payment record showing a birth date of 150 years ago and a check going out to that person this month. There are no privacy rights for dead people. Nothing would prevent Elon Musk from presenting the evidence of that mythical 150-year-old. And if in the hundreds of millions of checks that the Social Security Administration has sent out, amounting to trillions and trillions of dollars over the life of Social Security, what if it has sent out a monthly check for a few years or for 75 years after someone died? How much money would that amount to? Next to nothing in the Social Security budget of the federal government or any other budget in the federal government. But remember, there's absolutely no proof that Elon Musk has found a single record of what he was describing today at Social Security. Donald Trump claims that the federal government has contracts that are supposed to last 3 months, but they keep being paid for the next 20 years. That's what he said today. Show us the contract. Show us the payment for 20 years. It is a lie from Donald Trump until it is proven true and unless it is proven true. The Senate Finance Committee that has jurisdiction over the United States Treasury knows exactly how to investigate such payments. And they know exactly what they're looking at when they look at Treasury records. And the Senate Finance Committee staff has not seen any of this. They're the professionals who know how to evaluate it. After Donald Trump claimed that there are recipients being overpaid by the federal government, he said he thinks there's a lot of kickbacks, to which Elon Musk said, quote, there's a lot of kickbacks. They made that up. They have zero evidence of a single kickback to a single person. They are telling their followers that there are corrupt officials in the United States Treasury who can be bribed to continue paying on contracts that have expired. Elon Musk said today in the Oval Office with Donald Trump's eyes closed while pretending to listen to him, that to cut $1 trillion requires, quote, competence and caring. Those were Elon Musk's words. Competence and caring. Cutting the entire budget of the United States Agency for International Development is not an example of competence or caring. Leading off our discussion tonight is Nicholas Kristof, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and opinion columnist for the New York Times. Nick, you have been following the work of USAID throughout your career. You've written brilliantly on it recently. I have been struggling to emphasize to people enough what is at stake right now. We have the reports coming in of people dying. 71-year-old woman denied her oxygen treatments at a hospital run by USAID, which was closed down. She's now dead. We had Dr. Atul Gawande on here last night, who worked for USAID, saying, yes, people have died already because of what Elon Musk has done.
And they're dying every day.
Yeah.
I was talking today to an aid worker about a program in northwestern Nigeria where there's an emergency feeding center that has run out of the emergency peanut paste that keeps these kids alive. And meanwhile, in the warehouse, there are stacks of it, there are pallets of it, but to get that from the warehouse to this emergency feeding center to keep these kids alive, they need a waiver from USAID. And because nobody's at work at USAID, they can't get that waiver, and so kids die. And, at a time when we're already losing 2 million children worldwide to malnutrition, we have the resources, we have the assets, we know how to save these lives, and now that has been stopped. And there's that. Women, hundreds of thousands of women are becoming pregnant because all of a sudden contraception has dried up around the world. In Zimbabwe, the condoms are almost impossible to get now.
Which USAID has been supplying, not in the $50 million purchase range, which is what they were talking about today. And Elon Musk said today, when he was corrected on that by a reporter, he said, that was false. He said, well, I'm going to make mistakes. But then he said, why would we be sending anyone condoms? He does not know that is used to prevent HIV transmission.
Absolutely. I mean, AIDS is one of the great successes of American policy, actually originally under George W. Bush, was PEPFAR. Saved 26 million lives. As American, we should be so proud about that. And one element of that was condoms, which the USAID buys for 3.5 cents each. And when we don't provide them, well, HIV spreads, AIDS rebounds, and women get pregnant and they die in pregnancy. One of the hospitals that they are closing now because USAID in Sudan, in the middle of these famines, there's no other place to get C-sections within 130 kilometers. Women who have obstructed labor in that area, they are going to die in childbirth or they are going to get obstetric fistulas. And, we don't have to do anything new to save those lives. We just need to continue what we're doing. And all this talk about fraud and abuse and waste, they are $500 million worth of food aid is sitting in ports now and is at risk of rotting because there's no one to oversee it because they've suspended all these people. The counterterrorism people who'd be trying to scrutinize things and making sure that USAID stuff isn't going to potential terrorists, they are at home. I mean, so they have vastly increased the risk of waste and terrorism connections in all their actions, even as they cause children to die of starvation, women to die in childbirth, not get access to contraception. And they seem to think that it's a game. And I don't think they understand that those kids who are dying are just like your kids, Lawrence, and my kids, and like X. This is not a game. This is human life.
Yeah, and what they get away with is a White House press. Look, I'm sure there was someone in the White House press corps in the Oval Office today who wanted to ask about what we're asking about right now, who wanted to ask about starving babies, who didn't get a chance to ask a question. But as it stands, they can get through that entire experience with the White House press corps today and not be asked about a single person who has died because of what Elon Musk, with Donald Trump's support, has decided to do.
And we in the press, we have to keep pushing them on this because this is where our values and our interests converge. It's not just about our values, although they are enormously important, but we have interests as well. We have an Ebola outbreak right now in Uganda. I spoke to a doctor at the hospital there, and he says that their Ebola response is hugely hampered because USAID is not there. We saw the Ebola outbreak in West Africa a dozen years ago, and that was stopped in part because of USAID in the Obama administration. And so we are placing at risk American interests and American lives at the same time that we are sacrificing vast numbers of the lives of other people around the world and increasing the very waste that they're complaining about.
Yeah, I mean, so Elon Musk claims he's found the 150-year-old man in the Social Security rolls, okay? But what he doesn't then say is, that's why we shut down Social Security.
Right.
And with USAID, he claims to have found payments that he doesn't like and ideas he doesn't like at USAID. And so then that's a justification for shutting down the entire thing. Every major corporation in America has done audits of their business. General Motors has done audits of their business from the time they were invented. They never once said, we have to stop making cars, stop everything, send everyone home for weeks so we can figure out how we're spending money.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be clear, reform of USAID would be welcome. It is a bureaucracy. There is money that is periodically not going to the optimal use. But this is not fixing the problem. This is killing those people who are depending on it. And, it's just the inhumanity of it and the ignorance of where our own interests lie and the recklessness with which this is carried out just boggle the mind. They don't understand what they are doing.
Yeah, according to Elon Musk's audit logic, if he was auditing a hospital, he would send everyone home, throw every patient out of the hospital, close it all down, then he'd look at the books. That's his approach to this. Nick Christoph, thank you so much for helping us with this coverage tonight.
Thanks for raising this issue, Lawrence.
Really appreciate it.